My name's Rob Riley. I'm an application engineer with Bentley Systems. I've worked for Bentley for 17 years. Prior to coming to Bentley, I worked in the architectural and engineering world for about 15 years. I actually grew up in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and moved to Washington, D.C. in 1984 and spent, again, about 15 years working for multiple different architectural and engineering firms, most recently Jacobs Engineering in their Arlington, Virginia office. In 2000, I got an opportunity to come to work for Bentley and relocate my family back to Pittsburgh. I'm actually talking to you from my home office just north of Pittsburgh. At Bentley, my primary responsibilities are within the ProjectWise group, working with our ProjectWise suite of products as well as our mobile applications, and help companies like yours implement our solutions. So that's just a little bit about me, and let's just go ahead and get started. What I want to talk about today is our field data management solution. And how it works is basically being able to create forms, be able to save those forms, and then have people out in the field be able to review the forms and put those into a registry so they can be then tracked for all the different types of things you need. And we'll see lots of different types of forms that we can work with. So the process we go through is from a mobile device, we can access the forms. And in this case, I'm going to be working with our worksite application. That'll take us into worksite. And in this interface, we have several different options. If you're working with ProjectWise design integration, you can actually hook directly into repositories and access information. We can also work with issues using our issues resolution service, but what we're going to focus on here is our form data, our field data management, which will be the forms button. And when I would open that up, it would take me right into options to be able to fill out forms. And I'm going to go through this in detail in just a minute, but just to give you an idea, we can fill out forms just by selecting them, pick the form type that we want, and then we could fill out, in this case, perhaps a daily log. We're out on a job site, we need to fill out a daily log, and it's not restricted just to if you're in the field. It also could be working with, back in the office, you have different registers and things you need to fill out. We could be working there as well. Once we've created our forms, we'll get a list of those. Those can be reviewed on our tablet device. And then they can also be reviewed back in the office. So going to our portal, we can go to our field data management button here and actually go right in and see all the forms there as well. So here we have our list of forms. Those are easily accessible from any web browser, so we can easily access the information that we need. We can also do things like first assigning the different forms to different people for them to take action on those forms. And we'll see how that's going to work. And in addition, we also can take all the forms that we have and print those out to PDF or create reports in Excel as well from the information that we're creating. And I'll wrap up talking about how we can then go back and design these forms and create different forms for whatever type of thing that you need to track within your projects. So without any further ado, we'll go right into looking at the forms. So let me just, I'm just going to share my iPad so we can see that on my screen. So as I mentioned, in this case, I'm working with a tablet. Perhaps I'm out in the field and I'm doing a daily report from a job site. So I'm going to use my worksite application here. I'll just click on that. That's going to take me into our worksite mobile application, in this case on an iPad. Now, as I mentioned before, I can do lots of different things. I can go into repositories, look at the different repositories I have that could be looking back into ProjectWise perhaps. I can also work with the issues resolution service. But again, what I'm going to focus in on is how we create forms and track forms. So when I go to my forms option here, I have an option then to fill out a form. So from that, again, I'm out in the field, so I'm going to go ahead and I want to do a safety report. So I'm going to go to my safety checklist for this particular day, and then I can just begin filling that out on my iPad. So we'll just give this a number. In this case, my project site happens to be in Pittsburgh, so we'll fill that in. I want to put in the date that we're actually working with, so we'll save that. I can also assign someone who's responsible for this, so the observer who actually is filling out the report. And I'm going to do that just by keying in my name in this case. And we'll just pick that right off of our list of people. And then when we define these forms, they can be set up in many different ways. You can have pop-down lists, you can have fields that you fill in, and so on. So then I can start putting in different things about that. So this is a safety checklist, so we want to put in the different things. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see that can be customized to be whatever you want. And then, in addition, if you need to add, say, photographs from the site that you're working on, we can do that as well. I'm just going to go here, and I'm just in my home, so I'm just going to take a sample picture here, and then we'll add that in. I'm just going to use a photo. And boy, I didn't have my boots, so I'm in trouble in this case. So once we've done that, we can save it. And then I'm going to review the forms that I have. So here's the new one that I created, and I've got the list of all the ones that we're working with. I'll just turn this way so it's bigger. And then I'm just going to go ahead and upload that. So I was able to do my form that I needed out in the field, and now I want that to be able to be viewed back in the office, so we're going to go ahead and do that next. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to just a regular web browser, and I want to go to connect.bentley.com. Hopefully most of you have been here by now, but basically this is going to take me into my personal portal that's going to give me lots of different information. So as I go into connect.bentley.com, again, I go to the Connection Center, which is a personal portal for me that has lots of great information in it. One thing we're going to look at in a second is the different projects I have access to. We also have documents that have been personally shared to me that I can review. And we have things like where we can get to the Bentley communities, as well as this is where you would go to your software downloads to get different Bentley software licenses, and the license management's here as well. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to go to the project where I've saved the form that we were just discussing. So we'll just click here on the project I'm working with. And this takes me into my project portal, which again has a bunch of good information in it. You know, we have all our team members here for the project. But where I want to focus is that we have these different project services that I can work with. And the one we want is the Field Data Management Service. And that's going to take me and show me the same information we just saw on my tablet, but in a portal area, so it's very easy for me to be able to work with no matter where I am. So here we'll see that we're going to have a list of all the different forms that we have. So this is the one that I just created. So let's take a look at that. So you can imagine you're back in the office, you're reviewing this form, and I want to figure out who I'm going to assign this to. So I'm going to look at the details of the form. I also can review the attachments. And basically, you can attach as many different things as you want. You might need to have on a particular form multiple different attachments you want to work with. And here's the photograph that I took earlier, so that's available to me. And then in addition to that, we also have an audit trail that's tracking everything that's happening with the form throughout its life. So that can be really important to make sure that all the things are being taken care of with a particular punch list item or something that you're working with. So once we've looked into reviewed that, we could also export this individual form to a PDF, but I'm going to show how we can create a report of all the forms in just a minute. So we've looked at the different forms that we have. Now, as an individual user, when I log in, I might want to only see the forms that are associated with me. So we can use these different filters that we're working with here. And I want to see that, these are the 5 forms that are assigned to me that I want to make sure that I'm working with. So that's an easy way for people to quickly get to the information that they need. We could also look at just the ones that are open or closed, or look at all the different forms. Now, I do want to assign this form to someone, so I'm going to go to the option here. I'm going to assign the selected form. I could also pick multiple forms. In this case, I'll just pick the one form. And I can assign that to a user. And what's really cool about this is that they will then get email notifications as well as a pop-up notification that they have been assigned to this particular issue. And I'm just going to go ahead here. And then once you've assigned that, once again, we're going to get a notification as well as, bear with me, an email notification as well as a pop-up notification. Okay, so basically we assign the person to the form and they'll get those notifications. There we go. So that notification will come to the person that it was assigned to. Now, once we've got the forms in that we need, we can also send those out as reports. And I can do that in a couple ways. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the forms that I have, and we can then export those out to a PDF. And then that creates a PDF of all the different individual form pages that then can be reviewed. And that actually becomes available on my personal portal, which we looked at a minute ago. So let's go back to there. And so the safety report that we have here is going to be available as well. So it's going to give you a table of contents and then all the different forms spelled out. And once again, that's all customizable for your particular situation. Okay. All right, so we've looked at how we can create forms, how we can review forms and use them for tracking your different lists that you need to have. In addition to that, we also want to take a quick look at how we can create forms. So, and when I created the PDF, I also got a notification of the PDF was ready. I could click on a link there and that would take me right to that PDF as well of the list of forms that we were producing. All right, so let's just go back here. And what I'd like to do now is just look at how we design forms. So basically, you can create as many different forms and form categories as you want and set those up for the way your company wants to deal with those. So it's completely customizable. And let's just look at a couple of examples. So if I go to my meeting notes category, let's take a look at one of the types of forms that we have here. And basically, you start out with your forms. They can be in a draft mode as you're creating them. And then if you want to edit them, you simply go back in the draft mode and you can make modifications to those. So now I'm just going to look at that. So we have a completed, or a form that has been created. Again, we could edit it. But basically, you can format this in any way that you would like. You can also, so you have all these different types of labels and, things like a date picker, a text area, all those things that you can work with, and they can all be formatted the way you want and then saved. and then they can be saved as templates and shared across your projects. So it's a pretty simple process to basically go out and lay out different forms that you want. So let me just look at one more. So again, they can be multiple different types of forms. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll look at them back on the tablet and look at a couple of different form examples that we have available. So I'm just going to put that back to approved. And then we'll just look at perhaps a reports form here, just to give you an idea of the different types that you can create. I'm just going to go into this daily log. And again, basically all down the left-hand side, we can take any of those labels, we format them the way we want, and then those will be available. So there's one more that we can look at. And then, of course, the ultimate goal of that is to be able to review those, fill them out, and then bring them back into your form list. So let's go back here. So if I'm going to fill out a different form, we'll go to Reports. Let's do a Project Daily Log. And then you have all these different types of fields that then can be customized and be able to fill it out into a form. So that's basically what I'd like to cover today. I'm just going to go back here. So to get more information about these, we have a bunch of different places you can go to get lots of information about the different form functionalities that we have. And at this point, I think I'll pass it back to the moderator and we'll move on to questions.